My guest today is Josh Reyes. Josh is the founder of Minke, a DeFi platform for users to save, earn, and invest. Minke, it's a bit like a fintech. It's a bit like your bank, but of course it is open and permissionless finance, the wonderful world of DeFi. Welcome to the show, Josh.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Andy. Great to be here.
Hey, great to have you here. So, to begin with, Josh, I'd love it if you could introduce yourself. And it sounds like you're Australian based. Are you an Aussie?
Yeah, I'm not actually an Aussie. I'm Canadian, but
Okay,
yeah, almost an Aussie. I'm doing my citizenship test next week. Been here in Australia for the last 6 years. Yeah, kind of working in Web 2 for a bit, and then yeah, in and out of Web 3 over the last 5 years.
awesome, awesome. And I suppose then it would be good to get. I'd love to get your perspective as we go deeper into the show on obviously the promise and potential of DeFi.
Mm,
Probably be good to touch base on the very volatile events of the last few weeks. I'm sure you've got
mm,
some
mm.
opinions on Luna, UST, what happened there, and the implications for DeFi. But to begin with, let's start with the origin story for
Mm.
Minke.
Yeah, so Minky, we started it mid last year. My background in Web3 had previously built another crypto startup called Sendy back in 2017. So that was an email platform, whereas a marketer, you could quickly scale up your list by paying people in tokens, a little bit like earn.com at the time, but very like one to many, and more so for marketing emails. So yeah, learned a lot through that. It was really building like a consumer grade crypto tool, even back then when most people were still building infrastructure. Of course, a lot of things were centralized, but had learned a lot about like obfuscating some of the crypto jargon away, and making things really simple for people who had never used crypto, and actually generally just didn't want to use crypto. They just had a problem that needed to be solved. And that kind of gets us into Minky today. So, yeah, but my background is in finance. That's what I studied in university. But yeah, my co-founder, he's Dev, I'm our CTO, and he was an early Litecoin miner, also mining Ethereum, and kind of yeah through DeFi summer and 2021, we were chatting about like other ways to earn passive income, right? Like mining somewhat profitable depending on where you are, but really like especially over the last 2 years, DeFi has really boomed. And if you knew how to use it, you could make very competitive yields on your capital. But we're just kind of laughing like everything took like 2 hours to learn. You had to watch YouTube videos. You had to learn concepts like impermanent loss. And there was really no tool that served non-crypto natives. There's no tool that you could just pick up instinctively like your bank account and just use it. If you look at modern fintechs today, like Revolut or Cash App, here in Australia, we have Up Banking. You don't really need many tutorials. You don't really need even that much financial literacy. It just works and it has really ingrained patterns that people understand. So that's what we try to do with Minky. And how we actually got started was testing a lot of the current crypto tools. So things like Argent, Dharma at the time, and figuring out the mental hurdles that your mom or yeah your complete normie friend just couldn't jump over. Things like going through 13 different steps to KYC and get funds into your wallet, or having two different tokens, and one to pay for gas and one to deposit into DeFi. So we've tried to simplify that. There's 3-click top up into Apple Pay with USDC, and once you actually do get USDC, the wallet's entirely gasless as well. So we've written wrapper contracts with my economy around the savings protocols that we use, like Aave and Mstable. So you don't need Matic because we're on Polygon, or yeah, let's say that'd be the equivalent of Ethereum on the mainnet. So you don't need Matic to pay for gas. We actually cover that gas for you through a relayer contract, which makes this almost Web 2 like experience in a non-custodial wallet, which I think is a big leap forward and makes it really easy to use for people that are new to crypto.
Yeah, very nice, Josh. And I can see just looking at your website, you're very much focused on being, yeah, as you say, a user-friendly app, very much a fintech style. And I mean, you're right. This is, obviously you and I aren't the first to point out crypto's, I guess, UI UX problem, but it's apps such as yourself. We're slowly getting a slightly more sophisticated user experience. But yeah, it's just it reminds me of the early days when trying to sign up to a new exchange, even like Binance in the early days, exchanges like that. It's just a pain in the ass doing KYC and so many steps. And then once you get on the exchange, you have to figure out how an order book works and all that kind of stuff. So there's still, even with DeFi now, you're right. There's still quite a significant user journey in terms of knowledge, though, right?
Yeah, and I think it's really important to get away from that in crypto because for this next wave, they have very low trust over what we do, right? Like
Yeah.
we've kind of gone through the early adopter phase now. When you have that passport selfie, when you have to take the photo. I think back in 2017 when you signed up for Binance or those other exchanges, you had to have
Yeah.
that like letter where you write it like this is me and have it signed and take a photo of yourself. I know the next wave of crypto users isn't going to do that.
No.
So yeah, I guess there are still legal requirements to do it, but we know that we're going after this like smaller consumer, right? So it's limited to $1,000 US a week in top ups, and yeah. And then we can just do KYC level 1, which is your name, your physical address, and your email, which just gets passed through Apple Pay. So there's not really any like typing that you need to do either.
Nice, nice. And okay, well, we'll keep going on Minky soon, Josh. But let's take a step back for a minute. I know you're a big DeFi guy. You're a proponent of DeFi. What is your vision for DeFi?
Yeah, I think how I look at DeFi now, if you look at, say, Aave or Compound, they would actually be in the top 100 banks in the US by the total assets that they hold now. My long-term vision for DeFi is that one of these leading liquidity protocols will be a top 5 bank globally by the end of the decade. And I guess on top of that, like it's not just DeFi and finance isn't just lending and borrowing. It's spending. It's a whole lot of things. And I think now where DeFi is trending is like we've already built this kind of infrastructure layer in my mind. Yes, there's some improvements we need to make. There's some things that still need to be built, but really we've had enough ohm forks or enough OHM forks. Like it's kind of time for layer 3 in a sense now, which is this consumer layer that we see Minke building towards. And we really think like DeFi could like these DeFi wallets like we're building, we could be the next super apps. Like we should be just as competitive as something like Revolut. With Minke, yeah, you can save now, but it's very much V1. We wanted you to be able to spend with a debit, Visa, or MasterCard. You should be able to invest in stocks, whether that be synthetic stocks or let's say in index tokens. That can all be powered through DeFi today. And yeah, it's just kind of waiting for someone to put it all together into a UI that's very understandable and that's also accessible globally. Because, yeah, like say I'm in Australia. I guess are you New Zealand?
Yes.
So we actually have like pretty good financial infrastructure, right? Like we have a lot of options, just a lot of places to play money games. But where I think DeFi actually has the most potential for adoption is in countries that don't have that, whether that be like high inflation markets or countries that just don't have good financial or tech infrastructure. So Minke right now, for example, is translated into Brazilian Portuguese. We have local top-up partners in 30 plus countries. In Australia, we have PayID, so it's like a instant payment network, so you don't have to use Apple Pay. So that we have that in Brazil, Canada, the EU, coming soon like Turkey, Malaysia, India. And that's where I think DeFi has a lot of power because in those countries, yeah, governments aren't so, let's say, yeah, they're not so accepting of like financial innovation. There's a lot of ingrained structures and ingrained interests that it's very hard to get like better and new finance off the ground. But DeFi is accessible anywhere and everywhere. It's open and permissionless. So that's where we see DeFi really taking off in the next, like 5 to 10 years. And we're actually already seeing that too. So like Minke, 90% of our users are outside Australia. Yeah, a lot are in the US. But yeah, and even if you look at keyword volume for things like crypto staking wallets, the number one country right now is Sri Lanka, who's going through a currency crisis right now. I don't think they even have petrol to last this week. They're completely out of foreign reserves, and people are just looking for a way out. And I think that's where DeFi can have a lot of impact.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Josh. And you talk about all the puzzle pieces are there, if you like. It's just up to someone to put it together in the right way and get that scale after they get product market fit. But the pieces are there, and the narrative is there because, of course, you talk about this idea of, on the one hand, software is eating the world. We're all going increasingly digital, and money certainly no exception. And of course, we have this really uncertain global financial macro environment. All of a sudden, runaway inflation. The average person now, I think, understands that. Just putting their money in the bank is not going to cut it anymore. They're not even saving; they're actually losing, 8 to 10% a year just on their savings, which is quite frightening, I think. And it doesn't look like that is going to be solved anytime soon. Hell, it could get worse. So the idea that you can potentially play around with Minke or similar apps and access DeFi and earn quite a significant yield, really, on your different assets. It is a compelling proposition. So I suppose what needs to happen for that next big leap in adoption, do you think, Josh?
Yeah, for us, so our view is, yeah, we kind of offer these yields now. There's two things, like one, actually adding all the bells and whistles that you see in Web 2 apps, like goal forecasting in terms of savings, push notifications that tell you, hey, you need to deposit every 2 weeks or every month when you get your paid to actually reach these goals. And these little nudges that are so like normal in centralized apps, but they're just not in any crypto app. So yes, it's a bit boring compared to building maybe like relayer contracts to do gasless transactions into Aave. But that I think is really missing right now. And the next part, I guess, is just like, yeah, like actually talking people's language. Like I said, I think a lot of the potential for DeFi is in these other markets, but every crypto app I know now is in English, essentially. There are some like localized competitors like popping up now, but none of the big players have actually gone into these other markets where there's like a burning customer problem. And like finance is hard, DeFi is really hard. And if you're trying to do that in someone's like not native tongue, it's just going to make it impossible, right? So doing that, and I think that should hopefully, yeah, kind of lead to the next wave of adoption. And then I guess one more thing is like closing the loop, right? People want to know that they can get their money out. Crypto and DeFi has very much been a one-way street for the last 5 years. So you get in, you don't. If you want to get out, transfer to an exchange, cash out there. It's still a very broken process. So yeah, we're building bank off ramps into Minke, and we're releasing a spend card later this year as well. So yeah, not only will you have a savings account, but you might have a checking account or a spend account where yeah, you can actually spend some crypto like you would cash too.
Yeah, and would Talk to me about what kind of yields you think people can get across different DeFi services through Minke, Josh, and how do you see this as sustainable in the long term? And I suppose that's the first part of it, and then we can talk about what happened with Luna and how much that has set back DeFi, if at all.
Yeah, so with Minky right now, you get up to 5%. So we have two protocols. The default is mstable, and then you can also use Aave. So Aave, I guess, is the safest. It's like the biggest liquidity protocol on Ethereum or like across EVM compatible networks. The yields there are a bit lower, so I think it's probably around 2% now. But obviously, you kind of have a lower risk profile given how safe the protocol is. MStable is a layer above that, and that's kind of our default. So there you're earning around 3 to 4% now, kind of up to 5 over the last a few couple months. So that's what we advertise on our site. And that actually, your money there also goes into Aave, but you also earn yield through fees generated through liquidity swaps there when people swap between stablecoins. So it's kind of like a stablecoin standard where you can put in, say, Tether, DAI or USDC, and everyone kind of earns the same interest rate, and everyone also earns fees on the trading between those coins as well if people want to do swaps. And then we're also adding other protocols this year too. So like I said, we have a big focus on these other markets let's say India or like Malaysia, Indonesia, where maybe some of the predominant religions are Islam or the Muslims. And there you actually can't earn yield by lending out money, right? It's against religious beliefs. So there, the best way for people to actually earn yield is by providing liquidity to exchanges like Balancer or Uniswap or SushiSwap. So we're looking to integrate a protocol called, not really a protocol, more so a platform called Toros, which is built on top of DHedge, which moves your liquidity between these different pools. So it's not lending, it's just kind of earning yield from fees, which is really powerful in these markets because, based on their religion, they've actually never been able to earn yield before. The only place to earn any return on your money has been the stock market, which actually isn't that popular in those cultures because there's kind of a belief that there's like 5 people pulling the strings and it's like draining your wallet of money. It's very powerful. DeFi is like a very powerful concept there, and we're looking to bring that there. And I guess, like with Minke, we wanted to offer choice, but we wanted to be sustainable yields as well. Like we tried to avoid yields that are heavily subsidized, what was the case with Terra Luna. So I guess that's probably a good segue to get into that. It's been a very, very interesting 2 weeks in crypto markets and in DeFi. And it's been very interesting as well. Like even this last 6 months for us, like obviously we've been competing against Anchor and a lot of these Anchor front end apps. We've often got the question, why don't you have 20%, right? Or why can't I get 10%? Like why are your yields so low for some people that maybe have they're not very new to crypto, but maybe are like crypto curious or they've got into DeFi before. And we've always taken a strong stance that, one, like there's obvious design flaws in Terra that we didn't want to risk users' money, like leaving people's money in there. We're not a centralized app, we're a non-custodial, so only you can control your funds. So if your money was in Anchor through Minke and that DPay could have happened, it's not like we could have taken your funds out for you and saved you. You would have had to go in yourself and do that. And a lot of people wouldn't have done that. And a lot of people didn't, who might have gone directly into Anchor, and their savings now are totally wiped out. And to be honest, it has set the space back. We've been trying to be really loud and a bit obnoxious, to be honest, about how we're different. But it's going to be really interesting to see how things play out over the next 6 to 12 months, because a lot of retail has got burnt by what happened, because not just like Terra, but there was a lot of these Anchor front ends that really dressed themselves up as a safe way to earn savings, right? It looked look like us, look like a fancy fintech that's modern and new. And people weren't aware of the risks. And now all their capital is gone. And they probably have put that black mark on DeFi as a whole, when there's actually other options that, yeah, they're not paying 20%, but they are sustainable. And they are still much, much better than your bank.
Yeah, it was yeah, a real tragedy what happened with Terra Luna, and yeah, yeah, it's sad. But I saw a blog
Yeah.
post I think you wrote, Josh, when you were talking about this, and the post, you said, you know, you're talking about stablecoins and the importance of
Mm.
stablecoins, and the need eventually, for, even some kind of, perhaps decentralized, even algorithmic, stablecoin. But I think the way you framed it was that you thought, or you think, that the winning stablecoin will be decentralized, born anonymously, and eventually be community led, similar to Bitcoin's immaculate conception and evolution. And I love the way
Yeah.
you've framed that. I wonder though if it's, Bitcoin's immaculate conception is kind of a magical event that can happen almost one time only. I don't know
Mhm.
if it can happen again. And also, you know it's much harder now for, any kind, whether it's an NFT collection, a DeFi platform, or a stablecoin, to gain traction with, if no one knows who's behind it, because
Mhm.
everyone is so wary of rug pulls, right?
Yeah, it is. It will be hard to do. And I think especially with an algorithmic stable coin, because it's not like Bitcoin is actually quite elegant and simple, right? It's not that difficult for anyone to really understand. I should do with a grain of salt for most people getting into blockchain is proof of work. But compared to some of the stuff we have now, it's not that difficult. But if you want to build an algorithmic stablecoin, 99% of people aren't going to understand how it actually works. And so you almost do have to rely on a little bit of trust, and previous background. So to do it pseudonymously or anonymously, will be very hard, but I think it is important to have one. And I hope the fight keeps on going for one. Like Frax is a pretty interesting concept as well, where they use USDC as collateral. It's not perfect, but it's a little bit better. Because yeah, my view is that yeah, we want regulation in the space, but my view on regulation is you always have to be battling, and kind of be a little bit ahead of regulators, right? Like if you kind of have the power to step away from a regulated space, regulators will collaborate with you. But if they have all the power, if they hold all the bargaining chips, they're just going to condemn whatever you do, and really shut it down, right? There is a lot of regulatory, like not just regulatory, there's a lot of risk, in the current stablecoin infrastructure, right? Like USDC, I guess, is great. Uh, in a sense, it is centralized, but you can see a regulatory pathway for that. DAI as well. There's obviously downfalls with it being over collateralized, so it's hard to grow the supply. So that's a cool one. Tether, yeah, people can think, well, I actually don't mind Tether. I think it's actually quite cool how it's operate. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of risks, but that is almost like a little bit like an immaculate conception, right? Like Jean-Louis, CEO of Tether and Bitfinex, he is almost like a ghost a little bit. No one's seen him. I think there's a thread today on Twitter with SBF, and one reporter, and he's like saying like, oh, I don't know if he was at the Crypto Bahamas event, but yeah, I'm glad you're spending your time on this. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of interesting concepts now. We will be heading into a regulated space. Like what happened with Terra shouldn't happen again. It was $20 billion this time, or I guess like $40 billion if you include both tokens. But yeah, I think regulators aren't going to allow that to happen again, and we as a community shouldn't allow that to happen again, because yeah, a lot of normal people got burnt, and it's very hard for them to distinguish the difference between that and I'd say like more sustainable DeFi, and the actual innovation that's getting, well, Terra was also innovation, but like more sustainable innovation that's getting built in the space. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. And yeah, I guess for the people that do get burnt, like, yeah, I'm not trying to like grave dance or like it sucks. Yeah, I've lost all my capital in 2018 too. You make bad mistakes. It's not, yeah, people make mistakes. You make bad calls. That's how you learn in crypto. But I guess if you did get burnt, yeah, stay curious. Keep your finger or keep your finger on the pulse. Like there's a lot of really interesting and a lot of impactful stuff that's getting built. Don't lose your conviction over the space. A lot of smart, some very, very smart people got burnt with Terra as well. So yeah, throughout this likely bear market, keep at it. Yeah, you'll find the next gem and hopefully get another 100x.
Yeah, but and look, it can always be worse, right, Josh? Like for example, Duquan, I believe he named his own daughter Luna, which seems like a classic case of pride before the fall. And of course, Mike Novogratz got a massive Luna tattoo on his arm. Which in retrospect could have been a potential top sign. However, people don't live and learn. Sometimes, if something looks too good to be true, well, it probably is. But yeah, these are the lessons we need to keep learning in crypto. Let's, as we finish off this part of the podcast, Josh, just feel free to please, tell us what is in the roadmap, the pipeline, the product pipeline for you guys at Minke, and also, just make the case as to if people aren't aware of you, where they should go or how they should find the app and the kind of the user bases that you're really most interested in attracting.
Yeah, so what's coming next? So we have a referral program launching soon, but right now, if you download the app, so it's available on iOS now, and you make your deposit within the month of May, yeah, you're entered to win $5,000 worth of Aave, which is a pretty cool prize. But yeah, we're launching a referral program in a few weeks as well. So that'll launch in June, which, yeah, if you refer on a friend, both you and a friend can get $10 worth of crypto. Yeah, things like Polygon, MStable, yeah, Aave as well. So, and that's completely uncapped. So, yeah, that's pretty exciting. We'll be releasing Android late June, July as well too. So if you're not on iOS, we'll be available there too. And then after that, yeah, it's really like going into the next pillars of Minke. So right now you can save, but you want to be a place where you can spend and invest too. So throughout the rest of the year, we're looking at spend. So yeah, we'll have a non-custodial spend card, very similar to Monolith if you're in the EU, where yeah, it's still non-custodial. It's kind of like an MPC wallet, where yeah, you can actually spend your crypto. So there'll be like a checking account in the app where yeah, you can have a debit card and go spend your crypto. You might even be able to get your NFT printed on it, which is what we're trying to do. So make it kind of like community, like fun and community owned. Because yeah, there's a lot of neobanks now. They have their bright cards. It's kind of boring and overdone. But I think if you could get your Bored Ape or your Pudgy Penguin let's on it, that'd be pretty cool. And yeah, like where to find out about us? Yeah, like download us on the App Store. Sign up for our newsletter as well. We try to drop some cool alpha, and sign up for our Discord too. Yeah, we run a weekly Friday crypto quiz where we give out some USDC to the winners. We host AMAs in there too, with me, and then we try to bring other people in from the space. And yeah, I guess also like refer on your friends to Minke. Like those normie friends that you've never been able to get into crypto, or if you've never been able to get into DeFi yourself, yeah, tell them to give Minke a try, like, and give us some feedback too. Like we're really focused on this user experience, and trying to make it easy for anybody to just pick up and understand it. So give the app a try, see what you think. And if you have any like feedback or suggestions, I'm more than happy to hear it. So yeah, shoot us through a message on Twitter, even message me on Twitter, or chat to us on Discord.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. Let's go to a very quick break and then we'll come back and we'll finish off with the very famous crypto conversation hot take around. And if you're watching on YouTube, well, we were here all along. We're still here. We're back. And I'm with Josh Reyes. Josh, of course, is the founder, as you've heard, of the Minke App, all about DeFi. And, well, Josh, as you may or may not know, I like to finish each Crypto Conversation podcast with a quick round of rapid fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Yeah, let's do it. It'll be
All
fun.
right, let's do it. So, just quick, snappy answers, hot take style. That is how we roll. Question one, Josh, is where would you say that you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-coin opportunist spectrum?
Yeah, I am an EVM maxi, I would say. I do own a significant portion of Bitcoin too. I think Bitcoin has the space as digital gold, but my view is that we'll have a multi Ethereum layer 2 future.
Very nice. Okay. Well, in that case, Josh, what would you say is your firmest conviction crypto opinion?
Uh, yeah, my firmest conviction, I think, is I actually really on Minky. Like, I believe that the majority of developing countries will experience hyper dollarization and hyperinflation in their local currencies over the next decade, and that's why we're building Minky. You've seen it before when we first got it started in Bitcoin. It was like the Zimbabwean dollar that everybody said, "Oh, everybody will become like Zimbabwe," but it was kind of a joke. But now that's actually happening. You've seen Argentina lose 96% of their currency's value over the next decade. Turkey, it's not a small economy, hyperinflation. I mean, just recently Sri Lanka. Like, these are countries. They're not Zimbabwe. They're not Joe. Like, no, that's a joke country, but that's not kind of the Bitcoin jokes that we used to joke about back in 2017. These are like very real countries, and a lot of people are getting hurt. And yeah, I see crypto as exit ramp for these people, and that's why we're building Minky.
Yeah, very nice, Josh. Look, well, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So, with that in mind, Josh, DeFi, what does it look like in 10 years' time?
Yeah, I think the majority of financial transactions will happen over DeFi in the next 10 years. DeFi will be in the biggest banks, like the top liquidity protocol will be one of the biggest banks globally. And yeah, DeFi apps, hopefully Minky, like, will be bigger than the biggest fintechs like Revolut and like Monzo in the space now.
Very nice. Okay, well, the flip side of that is, William Gibson famously said that he said that the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. So, with that in mind, Josh, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Yeah, I would say it's probably less so now in COVID, but I still think like this whole remote work thing, I think even these last few months, there's a pushback to a lot of remote companies saying, hey, yeah, we're going to go back into the office, or we're like limiting remote work to just our country. But yeah, as we've seen in crypto, and I think it's very much a crypto thing. We have these like global teams that are just operating on a scale and level of efficiency unseen anywhere. Like, I think what Uniswap Labs, I'm not sure what the market cap of Uniswap's token is now, but they have 50 people, and yeah, the level of efficiency in crypto is just insane. There's a joke that FTX only has 12 engineers for how big. I don't think that's true, but yeah, I think the level of efficiency in what crypto teams can deliver is something that only happens in crypto. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that like plays out in like the wider startup and tech scene over the coming years.
Nice. All right. Time to zoom out, Josh. Time to get a little bit weird. What do you see as the long term future of the human race? Do you see a dystopia or utopia?
I see utopia if we can own our money. I think that's the next jump we need to take as the human race, like having ownership, like true ownership over our money, like taking away that power away from central governments, and actually having the power. And I think we're starting to see that play out a little bit with crypto. You're seeing like countries, I think Portugal has gone back on it, but saying, hey, if you're like a crypto entrepreneur, come to us, like you won't have to pay any tax. And I think that's the power that owning your own money has, and hopefully we can play a small part in that. So yeah, I think that's the next big jump of the human race, and like redistributing power to the people instead of governments.
I like it, Josh. All right, let's start to close this out. Finally, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, TV show, or universe?
Oh, I'm actually not a huge sci-fi reader, to be honest. I love history books, though. I like recently I've like read a lot of the history of Australia. I'm trying to get my citizenship, but yeah, like modern history of China is really interesting. India too. Um, yeah, even like there's a book, The History of Money, I think, by Niall Ferguson, which if you're into crypto, I'd really recommend reading that too. So yeah, not a huge sci-fi person, but I love history books.
All good, all good. This has been fun, Josh. Nothing else to say really except hand the metaphorical microphone back to your good self. Please tell the people where they can find you on Twitter or wherever else on the internet you like to hang out. And again, tell people why they should go and get the Minke app.
Yeah, so I'm Vancity Reyes on Twitter. So kind of like Vancity Reynolds, which is Ryan Reynolds' account, because I'm yeah Canadian. And Minke is Minke App, so MinkeApp on Twitter. So yeah, give us a follow, download the app, and tell us what you think. And yeah, right now Minke is available on iOS, so you can just go into Apple's App Store and search Minke or DeFi wallet, and we'll be one of the top options there. And we'll be on Android very soon. So if you are on Android, just jump over onto our website at minke.app and sign up for our email list, and you'll get a very loud email announcement once we're finally there.
Awesome. Thank you, Josh. All the best. Bye for now and good morning.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, good morning.
All right, there you go. There was Josh from the Minke app, all things DeFi. Thank you very much to Josh for coming on the show. And well, that is the show for today. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation podcast in whatever podcast app you are using. But yeah, that's today's show. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave a New Coin. See ya.